We are live on a Friday. Yes, it is live television alongside Jason Shepard. I am Spencer Linton, and we are super pleased to welcome into Studio B once again NFL All-Pro tight end and current member of the BYU Athletic Department staff, Chad Lewis. Chad, thanks for hanging out.
What's up, guys? Two real famous quotes. One, more cowbell.
Okay.
Two, more Violet. Let's go.
Yes.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
He's a special player.
Do you even know what the gritty is? I didn't know what it was as of this morning. Do you know what that
I've been
is?
seeing people dance this. It's almost time to graduate from the gritty and do something else, but it's cool.
Okay. All right.
Even Kalani does the gritty when he's excited on the sideline.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
That's his style. Okay.
I see the dances. I just don't know what their names are.
Chad, what was the desirable dance move in the end zone when you were celebrating a touchdown?
Hands up.
Just hands up?
Bam! Like
yes.
that. When you score a touchdown, it should be like, now it's too orchestrated. It should be like raw emotion.
Yeah.
But I don't blame these guys for having something in the bag ready to go.
So when you say hands up, I think about Mitchell Juergens' Starman
That
after
was
he
cool.
caught that
Right.
pass against Boise State.
That was
right?
sweet.
That was
Yep.
pure emotion.
That was
right?
pure emotion. And Mitch Matthews did the same thing in Nebraska.
Yes.
I mean, that's just like, bam! That's how it works.
I've also got to think that there's so much emotion going through you at the moment anyway. Even if you had planned it, it probably slips your mind to begin with.
That's why you play the game. Like, if you could buy that type of adrenaline, that's why people are going to crack. I mean, they can't find a way to get that same explosive piece of emotion going through your body.
Yes. Just compete in sports. It's all
Right.
good.
That's right. Come to sports.
Yes. Chad Lewis is with us on BYU Sports Nation. Tyler Allgeier is a rather low-key guy when he's celebrating his own touchdowns, and he did that a lot
Oh, my
in
gosh.
2021, 23 times. Unbelievable, just on the ground. What do you think Tyler Allgeier's expectations should be for the NFL draft?
I want to hear his name called today.
Me
I think
too.
he can go
Yeah.
today. I think there's a lot of teams that have talked to me how much they like him, and I'm a nobody. I'm not one of the coaches. But I've had scouts say we love that guy. Love his size. He's much bigger than we thought. I love his what he does in the fourth quarter. So he gets better as the game goes on. He's super humble. And I sat with him, and Andy, we talked about it before. He told Andy, I'm willing to play whatever special teams. Like, hey, do I need to talk to the special teams coach and tell him? And Andy's like, I think you're going to be all right, bro. He said, but yeah, go talk to the special teams coach. You're not going to have to go find him. He'll find you, and it's going to work out just fine.
That's his mentality, though.
Yeah, I know. He wants to play football, and he says, I'll play linebacker. I don't care.
Love it.
He's a great running back. He's proven that against the highest quality competition. He's sweet.
I'm always fascinated because we hear about scouts talking to people and getting information and sharing it back and forth. What type of questions do they ask you guys?
It's a good question because these are smart dudes that do their homework. Then you guys tell me why only 50% of first-round draft picks pan out. What in the world? I thought we were doing our homework.
Right?
You guys.
Right? Wild.
Give me one of those first-round draft picks. I will prove to you I'll make the team. So it's really interesting that 50% of top picks even play and thrive and make a name for themselves.
How about that stat? Whoa.
So what teams are looking for is, what is this guy like off the field? What is he like with his teammates? What is he like in the huddle? What is he like in the moment? Is he scared to carry the ball, or does he want to carry the ball? So those just simple questions, they matter to those guys.
Chad Lewis on BYU Sports Nation. If Tyler doesn't have his name called, and he told us earlier, he's like, I'm kind of expecting fourth round, so early Saturday. Do you start, as a player when you're going through this, and you were an undrafted free agent, but how do you kind of manage those emotions the longer this thing drags on?
As a football player, you want someone to crack the door open so you can kick it in and go play some ball. That might be a free agent. So if you're Samson Akua, Neil Pau'u, James Empey, whoever, it could be as a free agent. There's nothing wrong with going in as a free agent. I think it's to your advantage. Here's why. When you're in the draft, 5th, 6th, 7th round, teams are going to start calling you, and they're going to say, will you come to our camp? You're going to have a list of teams. Now it's your choice where you go, and hopefully you've done your homework. Hopefully I knew exactly what quarterback, what offensive coordinator, and who they had drafted, who was there. So I made the best decision for me to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. It worked. So these guys are going to have a chance real quickly to decide where they're going to go. In my case, teams were calling. There were 14 teams. One of them was the Kansas City Chiefs. Marty Schottenheimer was the head coach. I ran out the door with Michelle just to catch our breath real quick and make a decision. Marty, head coach, called my house. My dad picked up the phone. My dad's had a stroke. My dad doesn't know football really well. And Marty's like, hey, is Chad there? No, he just went out. He'll be back in just a second. We want him to come to the Chiefs. He's like, okay, who should I tell him's calling? Marty Schottenheimer. My dad's like, okay, how do you spell that? So he started to spell it. Then he just got ticked. He's like, you just tell him the head coach called, okay? So when I got back, my dad told me the story. I was cracking up. It was so funny. So,
can you spell Schottenheimer, please?
I love it. My dad wanted to get it right for me, and I was just like, oh, Dad, I love you so much. That's so good.
That's so great.
So what type of NFL career do you envision for Tyler Allgeier?
An excellent one because he's productive, because he's humble. He's not going to let other things get in the way. Andy Reid's mantra was remove distractions. Tyler does a phenomenal job, and he's demonstrated that here, of removing distractions. When you saw his deep blue,
Yeah.
you saw, here's a guy that has 50 distractions that could sink a normal man. He thrived under those conditions. So whatever DNA he has to be able to thrive under those conditions, that's a real gift. And so I see him having a great career because he can thrive when chips are down, when there's distractions, when there's a million reasons for him to give up and quit. He's not going to do that.
Well, the two things that really stand out to me about Tyler when I think about him and his career at BYU, one is his durability. He was always available when BYU needed him.
He's an Iron Man.
The other part is yards after contact. You're not taking this guy down on first hit. You're just not. I have to think from an NFL perspective, both of those things would be enticing.
I know. The two things about him, yards after contact and his ability to finish.
Yeah.
When you think about running backs getting all the way to the end zone from a deep run, very few of them can pop it and hit it and finish. He kept doing that through his whole career, whether it was Boise State or Utah State. I mean, those runs where he broke free and they couldn't catch him, that was so impressive.
Even in the bowl game at UAB.
Yeah, that's Tyler Allgeier. He's got that gear, even though he's a big dude.
Yeah.
So he's going to get the yards after contact, and he's got the speed to finish.
He's got that suddenness, that twitch. Patient, boom! And then through the hole, right? It is like... It's next level. It's
slow to fast through. That's what running backs say. But the sweet thing about him is you talk to him and you just want to grab his face and give him a hug. Like he's the sweetest dude ever. I love him.
Absolutely. Okay, I think it's probably James Empey. Maybe it's Samson Nakua. But if someone is to have their name called in a latter round, who do you think that would probably be?
You probably want to look at the pro day workout that they had. Samson lit up that pro day workout with times, strength, demonstration of his athletic ability, and then his charisma. You can't bottle his charisma. He's got something so explosive, and you saw that against Utah when we played them this year. Like, his energy was contagious for every member of our football team. That's really a special gift in football. So he plays with that happiness. He's got it. So his pro day was exceptional. James could go. Neil is an enigma for teams. They like him. They're like, man, this is a big dude, but he's so smooth with his routes. He's got great hands. He's like, there's so many things to love about him too. So I don't know who it's going to be. I hope they're drafted for their sake. Meaning, I hope they get as much money as they can in the NFL as possible. If they go free agent route, there's nothing wrong with that, and they should look at that as that's to their advantage in every way. Step into camp, light that thing up.
So last year there was, obviously with Zach going number 2, I mean, the hype around everything was so great, but also you had the number of guys being drafted. This year, certainly one, hopefully 2 or more. But what do you think should be the norm moving forward as it pertains to the success that the team has? Because obviously the more guys you have getting drafted, that means the players on the team were good, which means the team was likely good. Where do you feel is that sweet spot for the number of guys taken and what that means for the football program in general?
Incredible question, because when I look way back to 96, we had 1 player drafted. And we were a team loaded with guys that we ended up playing for a long time, a bunch of us in the league.
That was Atula, right?
Yeah. So
in the 7th round.
Right. I mean, and he's coming off a total knee, ACL, MCL, PCL, LCL. And so I don't know. But what you do see is when teams start drafting more players, it's indicative of a coaching staff doing a better job recruiting, talent evaluation, a better job with the strength coaches through their career of developing that player. And when they're drafted, it really is a hallmark of your team that you're going in the right direction. That's what you want.
Yeah.
You want your players to get drafted. And then the next generation, the recruits, do you think they're watching that? You better believe it.
Absolutely.
Do you think their parents are watching that? Big time. They want to go pro. Is your club going to give them an opportunity to go pro? And I think BYU's proving, yes, we're an incredible team, incredible coaching staff. We want them to come here and thrive and go to the NFL.
That's one of the things, and I if memory serves, I want to say Kalani said it either when he was officially named a head coach or pretty soon after, that's one of his goals is to get guys to the NFL. And I love the fact that he's being outspoken about that because, I think that's fantastic. That absolutely should be a goal.
One of his greatest gifts, and it's a gift, is building culture. Yeah. With culture comes vision, direction. He's able to build the culture that he wants. He's getting very comfortable with who he is as a coach and how he's doing it. And I told him last night, he was in the presence of all the coaches in Utah. I said, you have such a great gift at building culture. And I think the recruits feel that. They see it. The more wins you get on Saturday, the more people are going to come here and play for BYU.
Well, it's no surprise that BYU is pacing to have 3, 4, maybe 5 draft picks next year. Got a lot of talent coming back. Chad, so great to talk with you. Thanks for hanging out with us during the NFL draft weekend and for bringing your energy and charisma
Marty
to this
Schottenheimer.
That's a great story.
It's S-C.
You just tell him the head coach.
It's so bad.
What a great story.